Here's Smith on the move. Smith drives in, scoop no, tipped up in the air. Johnson's got it. It's blocked by Anunoby, and Hart saves it for Randall. Up ahead, bounce, back for Randall. Header jam.
Rondo hands it off to Jackson. Jackson sees an opening, throws it away. Here comes Bridges. Bridges to Booker, back to Bridges.
This isn't something we see very often. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? Well, I mean seeing a college team getting reincarnated in the pros. I also mean seeing a team that would have made the conference finals if healthy last season, add 2 all-star level players to their roster, along with some talented free agents. Now, yes, Julius Randle was already on the team, but after a shoulder injury sidelined him in late January, the Knicks were without Julius Randle for the remainder of the season. But when Randle was healthy, this New York Knicks team was the best in basketball.
Keeps the ball out to Randall with one, puts it up for 3, and it goes down.
The ball did not hit the rim, though, Kenny.
Anunoby from 3.
Here's White, blocked by Randall. He's hit his first 3. Now the steal by DiVincenzo. Dropping it back off for the Anunoby slam.
Shortly after trading Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett to the Raptors in return for OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa, the Knicks would embark on an unprecedented streak of dominance, going 12-2 in a 14-game span. But what was perhaps the most impressive part of this winning streak was just how good the Knicks were on both sides of the ball.
Finney-Smith. DiVincenzo has been really shooting the first. Randall puts it on the deck, drives in the floor along with Josh Hart. There's Brunson up with the left hand.
On offense, this Knicks team was clicking as OG slotted into Tom Thibodeau's game plan perfectly, as New York was scoring 115.4 points per night. If the Knicks had continued to put up 115 points per game over the course of the entire season, that would have put them as a top 10 offense in the NBA, instead of where their offense would go after Randall and OG suffered injuries, which was all the way down to 20th worst. But then it was the defense that was perhaps even more impressive, as during this 14-game period, it was seemingly impossible to get a bucket against these Knicks.
Why the Knicks were trying to get Anunoby for the last several years. Defends him well and throws it away. Ahead to Randall. Inside. Layup is good.
Randall with the steal.
Good job by DiVincenzo. Off to the races. Look out below.
As New York was holding their opponents to just 100.4 points per game. Just for comparison, if the Knicks had held their opponents to 100.4 points per night for an entire season, this would have seen New York claim the #1 defense in the NBA by a whopping 10 points over the second-place Wolves. This kind of defense is not something we see in the modern NBA anymore, but it is what we saw from this Knicks team over that 14-game span last season. Over the offseason, the Knicks made a blockbuster move, trading their future draft capital for Mikal Bridges to reunite with his college teammates. Over the course of his career, Mikal Bridges has established himself as a great two-way player in the NBA. Over the first 5.5 seasons of his career with the Phoenix Suns as the third option on offense, he was averaging a steady 13.1 points, 4 rebounds, 1.3 steals, and half a block on 49% shooting. But once he was dealt to Brooklyn in the Kevin Durant trade, he joined a Nets team without a clear offensive leader. So with that spot up for grabs, Bridges took it, averaging 26.1 points, 4.5 rebounds, and a steal on 47% shooting in the final half of the season. These numbers were great, but after a subpar second season with the team, where Mikal averaged 19.6 points on 43% shooting, the Nets would trade him to the Knicks for 5 first-round picks to build a future in Brooklyn. Those inefficient numbers could be looked at as a concern, but personally, I don't see it that way. After having a season and a half as a first option on offense, now coming back to a team where he only needs to be the third option is going to be a huge breath of fresh air for Bridges. Also, now that he's played against the best defenders in the NBA, the third or even fourth best opposing defender won't be very difficult for Mikal, as if he could provide a two-way punch with good efficiency, he's going to be well and truly worth what the Knicks had to pay to get him. After trading for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks were able to convince Jalen Brunson to take a pay cut, signing him for $113 million less than what he could have earned. Brunson did this to help the Knicks sign OG Anunoby to a 5-year deal worth $212 million. This was undoubtedly the biggest win of the offseason for any team. Not only getting your superstar player to take a massive pay cut, but then also using that money to extend your best defender in OG Anunoby. Anunoby is an on-ball wing stopper who is also one of the best defenders in basketball right now, and his stats on Crafted NBA really showcase this. OG ranks in the 99th percentile in forced turnovers, the 76th percentile in deflections, the 79th percentile in rim defense, and the 90th percentile in defensive versatility. These numbers see OG rank in the 95th percentile as an overall defender in the NBA. OG can damn near guard 1 through 5, as in the first round series against the Sixers, he went toe-to-toe with Joel Embiid on multiple occasions. Then on offense, OG Anunoby gives you more than you would think. His role within a team's offense is just to be a spot-up shooter, which he does well, making his threes at a 38% clip. But he's also shown flashes that he can do a lot more than just that. Anunoby has a solid handle, which allows him to get downhill and finish plays at the basket. He's also shown an ability to get to a mid-range jump shot also. Overall, the two-way ability of OG Anunoby makes him an extremely valuable asset for this Knicks team if they're going to win a championship.
Brunson on Brooks. Stepping back, contested. 2 ties the game at 1:03.
Ben, those records will be around for a while because now guys don't play that long. What a move by Brunson.
Right into that jump shot. Good find from Buddy.
A good find from Brunson.
The centerpiece of this Knicks squad is, of course, Jalen Brunson, who's coming off a postseason where he averaged 32.4 points, 7.5 assists on 44% shooting, cementing himself as a top 15 player in the game. For a player of his caliber to take a massive pay cut like he did is truly remarkable, as it perfectly showcases just how badly Jalen Brunson wants to win a championship for the Knicks. His offensive game is one that is truly hard to stop. Crafted NBA has him ranked in the 99th percentile for an overall offensive player. And with his ability to score at all 3 levels, it's not hard to see why. A big reason for his high ranking is to do with the offensive load and the amount of open shots he creates for his teammates off drive and kick opportunities. For a guy who isn't athletic, Jalen Brunson does have a quick first step and is often able to beat his primary defender off the bounce, forcing defenses to send multiple defenders to him, which in turn leaves his teammates open. And with Brunson's ability to make the pass, he often makes teams pay. Even though Jalen Brunson isn't tall, standing at just 6'1", he makes up for it with his tough shot making and underrated strength, as Jalen is comfortable getting into bump fades and turnaround shots. But perhaps what makes him the toughest to stop is his ability to get to the free throw line at will. In last season's playoffs, JB managed to get to the free throw line a staggering 9.2 times per game, which is highly impressive numbers for a 6'1" unathletic guy. Similar to SGA and a prime James Harden, Brunson has a way with the referees, tricking them into calling fouls. But a lot of the time, he's also just fiercely throwing his body into contact, as he's not afraid to take a hit. Then to add to this, his perimeter game is pure, as he's an above-average three-point shooter, along with having a quick mid-range pull-up jumper, which is his go-to in the mid-range. His ability to stop on a dime, similar to Luka Doncic, gets him plenty of space in the mid-range to make what looks like easy looks. Brunson is a top point guard in the NBA and has a real chance to make an All-NBA first team next season, only if he continues to improve upon last season. But this is where the pieces start to unravel for the Knicks, as there are 2 key issues that have me concerned about the current team's trajectory and chance to truly win a championship. The first is the most obvious, and it's how does Julius Randle fit back into this team? New York are stacked as far as wings go, as their depth chart is loaded with premier talent, featuring Randle, Anunoby, Bridges, Josh Hart, and Donte DiVincenzo. It would be basically impossible to not have to bench 2 of these guys, especially when you consider Brunson's going to be starting starting at point guard, and it's likely going to be Mitchell Robinson who gets the center spot. But when I look at the other 4 wings mentioned, not named Julius Randle, I just don't see where he has a clear role within this Knicks offensive structure. Anunoby and Bridges would be the 2 obvious choices to start, as they're both great two-way weapons. Then the shooting ability of DiVincenzo would be a great fit at the 2, but also the defense and downhill finishing ability of Josh Hart could also be valuable in the starting lineup. With no clear role on the team, I will look to see what Coach Tibbs has in mind come pre-season, but I would hate to be the one making these decisions. Then the second reason why I'm concerned about the New York Knicks is because of their center depth. In the last 2 days, the Knicks have added 2 more free agents, which were Landry Shamet and Marcus Morris Sr. Both signings were head scratchers for me, as sure they are talented 3-point shooters, but you've just brought in 2 more wings to add to a near bottomless pit of wingers that this roster already has. And now with the loss of Isaiah Hartenstein, who signed with the Oklahoma City Thunder, it really is just Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims at the center position. Both Sims and Robinson didn't play much last season because of injury, and in the case of Jericho Sims, he wasn't even in the rotation when he was healthy. For Robinson, when he's healthy, he is the perfect center for a Coach Tibbs defense, as he defends the rim at the 74th percentile according to Crafted NBA. Robinson also blocks shots in the 92nd percentile while grabbing offensive rebounds in the 98th percentile. And before he got hurt, he ranked first in total offensive rebounds. By no means am I questioning if Mitchell Robinson is a good center or not, but what I'm asking is he going to be able to remain healthy over the course of a grueling 82-game season? I've seen people suggest online, and NBA 2K even has it like this, for Julius Randle to play some small ball center. However, that's not a position I want to see him play too much, as you're not going to be able to get away with this against teams like Philadelphia and Milwaukee, who run really big lineups. At this point, the health concern around Mitchell Robinson might just be their most important question coming into next season, as if Robinson has to be sidelined again, it could decide their entire season if they don't sign another center before now in the trade deadline. In terms of a dream come true situation for the New York Knicks, I'll be the first person to say their ceiling is incredibly high, only if health is on their side. Between the Brunson pay cut, the trade for Mikal Bridges to fortify the Nova Knicks, and the signing of OG Anunoby, the New York Knicks are legitimate contenders to take the Eastern Conference next season. And with a good matchup in the NBA Finals, you never know what could happen.